It wasn't the kind of finish anyone expected. Lewis Hamilton crossed the line in Barcelona with no celebration, no cheers on the radio, just complete silence. Seconds later, it wasn't relief or satisfaction in his voice. It was confusion and frustration. He knew something was off. The car didn't feel right. It wasn't the usual speed or response he counted on. It was as if the power had disappeared when he needed it most. And now, after reviewing newly revealed data and comments from Ferrari boss Fred Vasseur himself, the picture has started to clear up. There's a serious concern inside Ferrari's engine program, and it may have ruined Hamilton's biggest chance so far to make a real statement in the red car. But what exactly went wrong that afternoon in Spain? Why did Hamilton's pace fall apart right after the safety car period? And more importantly, what is Ferrari doing about it? Because Vasseur's word suggests something major is already in motion, a shift that may completely change how Hamilton's car behaves, even if it's the kind of change fans never get to see directly. Make no mistake, this wasn't just a tough race. It was a warning from within. Even before the checkered flag waved, there were hints that something wasn't right. After the race, during the team briefing, when asked about the sharp drop in performance, Vasseur didn't point fingers at tires, weather, or strategy. He kept it blunt. He said there was a mechanical issue late in the race, and not just on Hamilton's car, on both Ferraris. But the real surprise came after that. He said the issue had nothing to do with oil or external components. It was something inside, something much harder to spot. And then came the real shock. Ferrari has already started rolling out changes to the SF-25. Not the kind of changes you can see on camera. Something far more hidden and far more serious. So what exactly does that mean? According to Vasseur, not every adjustment will show up in plain sight. That's because Ferrari is now focusing on what's happening beneath the surface, not on flashy wings or aerodynamic tweaks, but on the systems running the car from the inside out. They're working in the background, updating the control systems that tell the engine how to behave under pressure. Here's the key. The SF-25 isn't just being tuned, it's being reprogrammed. Engineers back at the factory in Maranello have started implementing core-level changes to how the car manages power. They're not bolting on extra parts. They're rewriting the behavior of the machine itself. Let's break it down. The hybrid unit inside the SF-25, the part that stores and releases electrical energy, is being modified. Ferrari is adjusting how energy flows from the MGU-K and MGU-H, two crucial components of the powertrain, and when that energy is released during a lap. This matters most in situations where everything is under stress. Safety car restarts, wheel-to-wheel fights in the closing laps, or moments when tire grip is fading and every second counts. What happened to Hamilton in Barcelona fits this exact pattern. When the race restarted, the car didn't respond like it should have. Rivals around him picked up the pace, but Hamilton's car felt sluggish, uncoordinated, like something was holding it back. And now we know why. It wasn't just about strategy or tire choice. It was the way the car was managing its power under pressure. Ferrari's system wasn't delivering the boost at the right moment, and that tiny delay made a big difference. But Ferrari isn't stopping there. They're also believed to be adjusting how heat is managed inside the energy system. That's critical. If the engine gets too hot, safety protocols kick in and reduce power. So, by pushing those thermal limits higher, Ferrari can keep the car running at full strength longer without triggering those internal restrictions. And it's not just about how much power the engine gives, it's about how predictable that power feels to the driver. With these updates, Ferrari is aiming to give Hamilton something he's been missing since joining the team: consistency. Not just speed on the datasheet, but a throttle response he can count on every time he steps on the pedal. That means tweaking how the car reacts coming out of slow corners, how it responds during mid-corner acceleration, and how it delivers energy when he's pushing at the edge of grip. All of this depends on new control maps, fresh software profiles, and refined coordination between mechanical and electronic parts. In simpler terms, they're trying to make sure the car listens to Hamilton, not the simulation model, not an ideal test scenario, but Lewis himself, the way he feels the car, the way he attacks corners, the way he reads a race. This isn't just about trying to match Red Bull's performance. It's about making sure Hamilton doesn't lose trust in the car beneath him. Ferrari knows they didn't just sign a star. They brought in a driver with expectations, with a legacy, with nothing left to prove, and nothing left to lose. And if he starts doubting the tools he's been given, it's not just lap time they risk. It's belief. The belief that Ferrari is willing to shape the car around his instincts, not just drop him into an existing system. And for the first time since this move became official, we're seeing some signs that Ferrari is listening. Not with big headlines or bold announcements, but with quiet changes to how the SF-25 behaves when no one's watching. These aren't public-facing upgrades, they're subtle, silent, but they could be the start of something major. What makes this even more crucial is when the problem shows up. Hamilton's issues aren't happening right at the beginning of his stints. The trouble starts later, when the tires begin to wear down, when the track temperature rises, when the race hits that intense final stretch. That's when the engine seems to fall short. That's when the response lags and the fight slips away. So the upgrades Ferrari is rolling out are aimed right at that weak point. The final laps, the pressure moments, the places where split-second decisions and energy control decide everything. Fred Vasseur even hinted that some of the improvements won't be visible. That's a direct clue pointing toward recalibrated energy thresholds, smart energy deployment algorithms, and a sharper braking control system, all of which tell the engine how to react under extreme stress. And that brings us to the real turning point. If these changes actually fix the late race power dip, they don't just help Hamilton go faster, they rebuild confidence. When a driver knows the car will respond exactly when needed, he stops second-guessing. He drives with clarity, with purpose, and that can completely change the dynamic inside the garage. Think about what that means for Ferrari. The mood shifts from damage control to focused development. Engineers stop trying to patch holes and start building a machine around the drivers. Exact demands. Hamilton, in turn, stops feeling like a guest in someone else's system and starts acting like the leader they brought him in to be. So now, the pressure is on, not just from the competition, but from within. Because if these invisible changes actually deliver, Hamilton's role shifts overnight. He's no longer just a high-profile recruit hoping for better results. He becomes the centerpiece of a car that finally feels built for him. And that's exactly what Ferrari needs. This isn't about one fast lap. It's about control. Hamilton isn't chasing headlines. He's chasing reliability, sharp handling, and a machine that responds exactly when he needs it to. Ferrari, on the other hand, isn't just chasing trophies. They're fighting to regain control of their own story, to prove they're still capable of producing a car that lives up to their legacy. If this new direction works, it could quietly change the shape of their entire 2025 campaign. And not because of one big change, but through dozens of small, smart choices hidden inside the car's core systems. And make no mistake, if Hamilton senses that this machine is finally responding the way he wants, then everything changes. The power unit stops being a liability and becomes a weapon. The frustrations fade, the doubts start to lift. And suddenly, the driver who seemed stuck in midfield becomes someone the front runners have to worry about. Not because the SF-25 is louder or flashier, but because it's finally consistent, sharp, and tuned to Hamilton's exact rhythm. This story isn't over. It's just reaching the point where it can truly begin. Because if this machine responds in Austria, in Silverstone, in Spa, then Ferrari has done more than fix an engine problem. They've started to build something real, something competitive, something worthy of the driver they brought in not just to finish races, but to lead them. And in that moment, when the throttle bites, the car pushes forward, and the doubt disappears, that's when we'll know Ferrari finally got it.
Right.